Vesterbro Rock Radio sitting with Justin from Blue Stones. Welcome to Copenhagen, Denmark.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me.
So this is, yeah, we were waiting for Tarek, but he's a bit far away. Where is he?
He's exploring the city.
Ah.
Yeah,
well,
so I can't blame him, yeah.
No. So, my boss, Tine, I told you I was going to interview a band from Canada. She says Canada is a rock country more than pop. Is that true?
There's a lot of rock music, yeah. We only have like 35 million people in Canada. Out of that 35 million, there's a ton of rock bands, a ton of good rock bands. So yeah, the rock scene is definitely alive in Canada for sure. But I mean, people still like their pop music. But yeah, no, there's a lot of rock in Canada. We're kind of Canada's rejects.
You are?
Yeah. We were always ignored by Canada for a long, long time.
Okay.
So we're not. We kind of feel like, whatever. Canada, we're technically Canadian, but we grew up. The city where we grew up is actually south of America. So like when you cross the border, you go north into America from where we live. So we're very Americanized. Like we're almost an American city in Canada.
Okay.
I don't know if that's why we were always ignored by Canadians, but we were. I mean, it's starting to come around now, but it took us to start getting popular in the States before Canadians would recognize us. So, I don't know. We don't really love Canadian media, I guess. Wag that finger.
You and Tarek, you met in high school.
Yes. Yep.
Why form a band? Why did you do that?
We met in high school and we were good friends, close friends for a long time, probably 4 or 5 years before we even started playing music together. We had always played instruments. He had always played piano and guitar, and I had always played drums, but we just never did it together until university. When we started, that was the first time we realized that we could do whatever we wanted to, and we didn't have to ask permission. So we figured, let's just play a band, and maybe it would be cool to go play some shows in Toronto once in a while, play in Windsor where we grew up. Didn't think much of it, and then just started to keep growing it. But essentially, why we made a band in the first place was because we could do it. We could finally do it, and we could go play wherever we want, and no one could tell us no.
Did your parents agree with you on that idea?
I mean, yeah,
they usually don't.
My parents love rock and roll, and so they were kind of like cool with it. They're like, yeah, go ahead, have fun, do your thing. Tarek's parents were more, they had reservations about doing it. I mean, both of our parents were just like, as long as it doesn't get in the way of, your job and going to school, then go ahead and have fun. And then obviously, eventually, we had to start doing this more seriously. So
did you skip your jobs or what?
No, we both graduated. We just work with really good organizations that support what we do. And so they let us take the time to do things like this. So yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Sharing that room together, you and Tarek, did you always agree on the music that you play?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. We hardly ever argue. We hardly ever fight, which I guess is unique. We have different musical tastes, but the music we write, we always agree on.
Okay.
What these are some good songs. This part needs to change. Like we usually are on the same page for that. We grew up listening to so many kinds of music that it's really tough to narrow in on what influenced our music. And it's kind of this cool new age that we're in where, because music is so accessible, there's not the same sort of like groups and like gangs of music. Like back in the day, like people who listened to hip hop used to hate people who listened to rock, and there was always a battle. But now everyone just listens to everything, and it's this sort of beautiful cross genre. Like everyone is doing music that has a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little, and so we always say it's really difficult to narrow in on, what do we listen to? Like, we would listen to acid jazz, we would listen to hip hop, we would listen to like neo trance, we would listen to classic rock, we would listen to alt rock. It's so everywhere, and the more you just listen to so much kind of music, you absorb it and then you put it back out in a different way, and you don't even know that you're doing it, right? So we could have like a Jimi Hendrix style riff that is laid over top of like a Daft Punk sort of like house beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's hard to say. Yeah.
Back in the days when you went to a party, you always looked for the record collection, look what was in it.
Right.
You don't do that anymore.
No.
Because you have Spotify, you have iTunes, you have
right.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
You released your album in October 2018, Black Holes. Looking back at that album, it's like a journey into something.
Yes.
There's a lot of space in it.
Yes. Lots. Yes.
Yeah? How come? Is it a journey or what is
it? It is. It's certainly a journey. So Tarek is mainly the songwriter, and we were actually living together. We were roommates in a house, and we were just about to graduate university, and we were feeling lost because we had been pursuing this band for a while, and we were having fun, and it was growing, and it was very fulfilling. But it was at a time of our lives where we had to make a decision. Do we use our degree and get a steady job, something that you can see 10 years in the future, something solid, or do you go with something that is unknown, that is pulling you in, but you have no idea how it's going to end up? And that was music. So it's just sort of working out, trying to figure out like who you are and where, like, what sort of leap and risk are you willing to take? And so that we had this feeling of like being lost in space, just sort of drifting and not really knowing where to go. You have a decision to make, but you really don't know what to do, and you don't have the choice of doing nothing. You have to make a choice. So it was just a difficult time, and like a lot of people go through that, and we felt like that would resonate with people. So
it's very rooted in your story.
Certainly, yeah, definitely. And then the next album that we're recording now is sort of an evolution of that.
There's an album coming?
There is an album coming, yeah. So we released one song early October. Looks like we'll release a second song sometime soon. And we've recorded 5 songs right now, already done from the next album, and then we're gonna go do another at least 5 in January. Do another 5 songs, and then that'll be an album.
So you're playing better here tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, it's going to be brilliant, of course.
Yeah.
What is the best concert you ever played?
The best one? That's tough.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's so many good festival experiences. We had a good festival experience. We played Bonnaroo in the United States. That was great. Good headline show experience. Just the other, a couple weeks ago we played London. It was sold out weeks in advance. That was a great show.
Yeah. Where did you play?
It's called Seabright Arms. I don't really actually know exactly where it is, but that was a really good one. We played in a museum in Ontario. It's
okay.
It's like they have this sort of Friday night where like at 8:00 it turns into more of like a cocktail hour, and like people dress up and they have drinks and there's live music in the middle of the museum. So we were set up. There was a stage right across from us was a dinosaur bones, and then like artifacts from like old China, ancient China, all around us, and that was really cool.
Where was it?
It was in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. That was really cool. Yeah.
And the worst gig ever?
You know what? It's funny. A lot of people usually say that their worst gig was one where there was no people. we've definitely done a few of those gigs where there's like, you show up to the place and there's just you and the bartender.
Yeah.
Those are not fun, but you usually just, it's like a rehearsal session. So it's not a bad show. I mean, other shows where, you know, if you have technical problems, that's always a nightmare. There was a show last year, we were on tour with a band called Welshly Arms, and we played in Hamburg at a club called Logo. And there's a big pole in the center of the stage. And we normally don't have that, right? It's like a reinforcement pole. And Tarek turned, it's right where the vocal mic is.
Okay.
So Tarek turned to look at me to play, and as he whipped around, his head smacked the reinforcement pole, like the guitar, the headstock, and broke.
Oh shit.
It didn't snap off, so we quickly finished the show, but eventually we just had to like the guitar was broken, and the headstock came off. So that was not a good one, but it was
rock and roll.
It was rock and roll, man. It was rock and roll, that's for sure.
Why did you choose just to be the two of you? You could have some other musicians with you.
We could have, but we didn't really know anyone who played, say, like bass or keys and wanted to do the band as seriously as we did.
No.
It was kind of hard to find someone that was willing to sacrifice what we were willing to sacrifice. You know, like everyone was having fun. We were in our college years. They were going out and partying, and we were like driving 5 hours towards a show and then coming home. And people just didn't want to do that. They just wanted to have fun. So we're like, okay, we started writing music, just the two of us. And before we played shows, we just made sure that the sound was going to be like fulfilling. And we totally thought we're going to play a few shows and we'll meet a bass player or we'll meet someone who plays keys and they'll come in. We never intended to be a duo. But the way we wrote the songs, they sounded full on their own. And when we started jamming with people, it just didn't fit.
So you tried?
We tried, and we were just like, this isn't right. So we just kept going, just the two of us. We have bass on the albums, but it didn't work. It didn't work when we tried with someone else.
You've been compared to a lot of bands like the Led Zeppelins, Black Keys, and even JC.
Yeah.
Which band makes you the most proud of being compared to?
It's a good question. I never really like read about ourselves online.
You don't?
If that, no. And this it's such a social media age. It's like you could read anything and everything, but I think it's probably better to just keep the blinders on and just do your own thing. But you know, when we started working recently with one of our heroes, Paul Meany, from the band Mute Math, and when we get comparisons to them, it's great because growing up, they were a huge inspiration, and now he's producing our album, and so that's always a great thing to have.
I have a quote here I found on the internet. The Blue Stones have seen massive success in the new music business streaming model. What is that new model?
So streaming models
model.
That would be like.
Why did you benefit from it?
Yeah, so like Spotify, Apple Music, all this stuff. How we benefit. There's a lot of criticism that these sort of services don't pay enough to the artists, which I could kind of understand compared to 1998. But since Spotify and Apple Music have come out, it's been the first 3 years in a row that the record industry has seen growth since the year 2000, when everything came down.
Okay.
And the most important thing is that if you have a Spotify account, it costs you just as much money to listen to Metallica as it does to listen to the Blue Stones. So if you're done listening to Metallica, you could listen to anybody. You might as well try the Blue Stones. Whereas before, you don't know who the Blue Stones are. If you have to buy their album, maybe you're not going to because you've never heard their music before. You don't know anyone who has, so you're going to pass and you're going to buy the next big record. So actually, these streaming models help smaller bands because it costs nothing to listen to them now.
No.
But we still get a little bit of money if you play our songs. So that's how we benefit from it.
In these times, there's always someone responding negative on the social media. How do you deal with that?
Again, we just don't really pay attention to it.
No.
We're really good at focusing on people who are being positive, fans who enjoy what we're doing, and if someone doesn't like it, that's fine. You're not going to win everybody over. And you know what? I don't want to win everybody over because I think if you make music that everybody is okay with, you're not really making music that anyone in particular is very passionate about. And then I think if someone finds you very compelling, that means that someone else will hate you, and that's fine. Because I just want a small group of people who love what we do. That's it.
I heard a cover you made of Rolling Stones, Satisfaction.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that one?
It's really hard for us to do songs, like cover songs, because there's only two of us.
Yeah.
So
but that's a big one. That's
right. So we're either stuck with covering two-piece bands, which we just would rather do something more interesting. And Satisfaction's a simple enough song. It's not really a crazy riff. Everyone knows it, so it's fun. It was just something that we could have fun with. This is a simple sort of like pattern. It's always good live, so it worked out great.
Everybody loves it.
Exactly. Yep.
You have a new song out, Shaking Off the Rust. Could you tell us about that song?
Yeah, so talking about what we were talking about earlier, black holes being sort of you don't know who you are and what you want to do. Shaking Off the Rust sort of ushers in this new direction that we're going in, which is like we know who we are now, and we have, now that we've figured out who we are, it's moving forward in the world with like this sort of confidence and this swagger of like, this is who I am, and I don't care what you think about that, but this is how I'm going to live my life, and we're moving forward with that. Shaking Off the Rust is like when you come to realize that, and it's about being frustrated and doubting yourself. Like, am I good enough? Can I write music anymore? Maybe I'm past my prime. Maybe the good days are gone, and maybe I should give up. And then just saying to yourself, no, I can do this. You have to get out of your own head and just move forward. And that's what Shaking Off the Rust is.
Yeah. And we will be looking forward to hear it tonight on Beta. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin.
Great.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Or is this one?
Sure. Whatever.
What is this about my hair?